sama. Today, we're going to discuss about forms of government of Japan, media and politics, and media and culture. Japan has a parliamentary government headed by the Prime Minister and a constitutional monarchy headed by the Emperor. Like the United States government, the government of Japan has three branches: the legislative, executive, and judicial. Parliamentary government is a government which members of the executive branch are nominated to their positions by a legislature or a parliament and are directly responsible to it. Constitutional monarchy is a system of government in which a monarch is guided by a constitution whereby his or her rights, duties, and responsibilities are spelled out by written law or by custom. Japan has a parliamentary system of government like Britain and Canada. Unlike Americans and French, the Japanese do not elect their president directly. Diet members elect a prime minister from among themselves. The prime minister forms and leads the government of ministers of state. The Diet, Japan's national parliament, is the highest organ of state power and the sole law-making organ of the state. The Diet comprises the 480-seat House of Representatives, which is the lower house, and the 242-seat of House Councilors, which is the upper house. All Japanese citizens can vote in elections once they reach the age of 20.
Cabinet. Cabinet is also known as Naikaku in Japan. It's an executive branch of Japan's government, meaning he is the organ that exercises authority and holds responsibility for the governance of state. He executes and enforces law. Cabinet headed by Prime Minister has 19 other members called Ministers of State. Those minister members are appointed by the Prime Minister under the Cabinet law.
Judicial power lies with the Supreme Court and lower court, such as higher courts, district courts, and summary courts. The Supreme Court consists of a Chief Justice and 14 other justices, all of whom are appointed by the Cabinet. Most cases are handled by district courts. There are also summary court, which deals with the problem like traffic violation. There are 47 prefectural and numerous municipal government in Japan. Their responsibilities include providing education, welfare, and other services, and building and maintaining infrastructure, including utilities.
Now, it's media and politics. Japan is one of the most unique media landscapes in the world, where traditional mass media has an enormous effect in public opinions and trends. Traditional media in Japan, such as newspapers, magazines, and television, are more influential than online media. Japanese newspapers run the entire spectrum from general news-oriented papers to special interest newspapers, devoted economics, sports, literature, and trends. Print media in Japan is the most influential and its trustworthiness is often left unquestioned. The 5 national newspapers are the Yomiuri Shimbun, Asahi Shimbun, Mainichi Shimbun, Nikkei, and Sankei Shimbun.
In online media in Japan, Yahoo is the most powerful news aggregation. Television is a very powerful media, particularly on its effects on creating new trends. Magazine is well segmented, attract extremely loyal readers, and have a strong impact on their readers' decisions. Japanese in their 20s are the most active in social media, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Line.
Japan's main political parties are the Liberal Democratic Party, or the LDP, and the Democratic Party of Japan, or DPI. Several smaller parties also maintain a presence in the legislature. The LDP, generally considered the more conservative of the two major parties, held power from the 1995 until 1993. Since 1994, the LDP has governed by forming a coalition government. Candidates in Japanese elections make use of every available platform, from the internet to television to street-level campaigning. However, because of campaign reform efforts, candidates are not allowed to create new websites, update existing websites, or use electronic media when the official election campaign starts. Individuals running for local or regional office generally receive little support from national party organizations. Instead, candidates organize their own support groups, asking local residents to work on their behalf.
And now let's talk about mass media and culture. First up is manga. The word manga, when translated directly, means whimsical drawings. Manga are typically comic books as the West understands them. Rather, they represent pieces of Japanese culture and history. The manga style has an extensive history, beginning sometime in the 10th century. Scrolls from that period depict animals as part of the upper class, behaving as a typical human would in similar situations. Such scrolls would go on to be known as the Choju Giga, or the animal scrolls. Second is anime. It is a movie or episode of sorts which utilizes an animated cartoon art style to convey a story, influenced by Walt Disney and his characters. Unlike Western cartoons, anime frequently tends to have more detailed character design. This can be used to allow for a better connection between the viewer and the character. Anime is based most of the time on animated comics or manga, which is an ancient form of comic writing which dates all the way to the 12th century. One of the successful anime ever made is Astro Boy.
Next is television. Television broadcasting in Japan started in 1950. Although the first television tests were conducted as early as 1926, using a combined mechanical Nipkow disc and electronic brown tube system, later it switched to an all-electronic system in the 1930s using a developed iconoscope system. Lastly is films. The most popular Japanese films are the giant monster films of Godzilla, Gamera, and the Ultraman series. These kaiju films were extremely popular in the 1960s and 1970s as the kaiju boom of Japan.